One Zambia, One Nation, to present the news at 18 hours on TV2. I'm Patricia Ellis. Top stories in the news. 3 people, among them 4-year-old twins, have been burned to death after a fire swept through a house they were sleeping in Chambishi on the Copperbelt. President Edgar Lungu has applauded Zambians for welcoming and supporting the approval of the declaration of a state of threatened public emergency in the country. Plus, the Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA has raised 384 million kwacha under the tax amnesty initiative. Thank you so much for joining us, and now the news in detail. 3 people, among them 4-year-old twins, have been burnt to death after a fire swept through a house they were sleeping in Chambishi on the Copperbelt. The fire, which is believed to have been ignited by a burning candle at about 04 hours this morning, has reduced to rubble the structure commonly called a cabin and made of wood. The mother of the deceased, Annie Kombe, is believed to have left the candle burning while she was out. The bodies of the 3 have been burnt beyond recognition. Ms. Kombe has told ZNBC News that she left her twin children, Faith and Favor, in the care of her 25-year-old niece, Sarah, while she attended a funeral in the neighborhood. We have more in the following report.
The death of her twins has left her shocked and devastated. Anne Kombe can't believe that her kids are gone. Their twins, Favor and Faith, aged 4, died along with their 25-year-old cousin Sarah after fire swept through their house. The visibly emotional Anne was not at home when the fire engulfed this small cabin in the early hours of the morning. Everything here has been reduced to rubble and the bodies charred beyond recognition.
So nchichibe fya chitike mukuru ngali lala ero kendo ya pya nchichibe nifiro kushinche chitike oke na chisa umva fati inganda ya pyo kumuli ati mbutuke ati ni mumiesu nisasa mpa miesu efana samona chimuliro fana chisabuka nomba pa bed njisule kuchibi kali na ifatula ko makolo ko njisule kuchibi nasanga chimuliro pa mwinja apa so ifana cha kutampa kubula ifuma container cha panse nambo kutira kwa menshi na isabula kone cha muchitere nambo kutira kwa menshi nomba tafya chinja fa nishi nambo kupunda bane bomu rumendo kwa cha kwa boniba na wene watanja fulisha kwa banina kula itira kwa menshi but still momuleta wachishima. So
the community in Chambishi is equally devastated. They've gathered at this house to mourn the death of the 3. Kalulushi District Commissioner and the Deputy Mayor were also at the scene.
We are really saddened to what has happened. You know, we have lost 3 lives, young people, 2 twins who are 5 years old, and 1 lady who is 25 years old. We are really saddened. It's a disaster for us, and the main cause of the death is fire.
We can say, as from the mayor's office, is the families which have lost their children, they should not take a law into their hands. Let the government wings which deal with law do their job so that we can find out what really happened.
Copperbelt Permanent Secretary Elias Kamanga visited the funeral home.
We must continue to investigate these things thoroughly so that we establish exactly what could have happened. We need to establish we've lost 3 lives here, and we need to be very, very conclusive in terms of what we do in our investigation.
Lillian Kalaba, ZNBC News, Chambishi.
Police in Sesheke Western Province have arrested a man for allegedly having sex with 2 of his biological daughters. The 2 girls, aged 14 and 17, are pupils at Kachola Primary School. Jimmy Simutuka Mwizakuvi, aged 38, of Mbilika Village, who is married to 2 women, was arrested on July 1st after he was reported by the neighbors And speaking to Zanisa Tsesheke Police Victim Support Unit, the older girl narrated that her father started sleeping with her in October 2015 when she was only 15 years old. She has added that her father would beat her if she refused, further telling her not to disclose to anyone. Meanwhile, the younger of the girls has also narrated to Zanis that the father started sleeping with her in May this year, and by last month he had slept with her about 4 times. The father of the girls has since been remanded in custody and will appear in court soon. President Edgar Lungu has applauded Zambians for welcoming and supporting the approval of the declaration of a state of threatened public emergency in the country. President Lungu says he expects the levels of lawlessness to reduce during the 90-day period of the declaration. The head of state has, however, warned that he will not be compelled to endorse his last option if the levels of lawlessness in the country continue. President Lungu was speaking to journalists today in Lusaka at ZAF City Airport upon arrival from Southern Province. And President Lungu says he will not allow law enforcement officers to abuse their powers during this period. He says he expects police officers to be professional and bring sanity to the country.
And I think we'll be monitoring the situation on a daily basis. If there's an escalation of lawlessness, obviously we'll have to go into high gear. But I think so far so good indications are showing that people have responded well to the new measures we are about to put in place. So I expect a reduction in misconduct.
Earlier today, President Lungu said Zambia is pursuing an ambitious program to attract investment in the energy sector. President Lungu says he wants to be remembered for improving power generation, especially at the time of the 2014-2015 energy crisis. The head of state says he took a difficult decision to increase electricity tariffs despite the political risks involved in a bid to increase generation and accessibility. President Lungu says time has come to drive a viable energy agenda to adequately meet domestic demand. He says the inability to attract new investment in electricity generation over the years compounded the power shortage the country is experiencing. President Lungu was speaking in Livingstone this morning when he officially opened the 19th Congress of the Association of Power Utilities in Africa. And speaking earlier, Minister of Energy David Mabumba said Zambia is the most attractive investment destination in the energy sector. Mr. Mabumba, however, says he is not happy that only 4% of the rural community has access to electricity. And ZESCO Managing Director Victor Mundende says ZESCO Limited is determined to become the main engine of economic growth. Meanwhile, Standard Chartered Bank Managing Director Herman Kasekende praised President Lungu for ensuring stability and tranquility in Zambia suitable for investment. Meanwhile, business in the Central Business District of Livingstone, Southern Province, was this afternoon brought to a standstill as residents thronged the street to catch a glimpse of President Lungu. This was while President Lungu was on his way to the Harry Mwanga Nkumbula International Airport after concluding his working visit to the province. Several residents took to the streets chanting PF slogans as they flashed PF symbols as President Lungu's motorcade passed through the Central Business District area. President Lungu was on a 2-day working visit to Livingstone and Dundumwezi. Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA has raised 384 million kwacha under the tax amnesty initiative. ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Topsy Sikalinda has disclosed this to TV2 News in a statement. Mr. Sikalinda also disclosed that the authority has received more than 267,000 applications for tax amnesty. He said both developments are as of June 30th, 2017. He has explained that ZRA is cognizant that the liquidity of most taxpayers is not very good. However, those who are unable to settle the principal taxes immediately have an opportunity to enter into time-to-pay agreements. Their respective agreements have a timeline of up to December 2017. Just now we go for a break, but we do have more news coming up right after that. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. We'll continue with the news. Finance Minister Felix Mtati says the invoking of Article 31 of the Constitution in order to enhance security will not in any way encroach on investments in Zambia. Mr. Mtati says what President Edgar Lungu has merely done is put measures that will not only protect lives but also preserve people's investments in the country. He was speaking this morning at Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on his way from Brussels, Belgium, where he was attending the World Customs Organization conference.
Encroach on the investment that has been placed in the country. The freedoms that the investors enjoyed will continue to be enjoyed. These explanations in Brussels were firmly made, and I can assure you that the investors out there are quite comfortable that government is taking practical measures not only to protect life and property, but also to protect their investment. And this could be seen in the reaction, particularly by the bond investors. The investors who have placed money in Zambian securities. The levels of investments continue to increase.
A 14-year-old boy is spending nights alone in a church building in Lusaka's Charleston area after his mother allegedly abandoned him together with his 4-year-old sister. Solomon Tembo, a grade 5 pupil, says he last saw his mother close to 3 months ago after she left home in search of business in Luangwa district. The boy has since been evicted from the house his mother was renting and is living in a nearby church building and at the mercy of well-wishers. Solomon's little sister has since been taken by a distant relative who is also unable to trace the whereabouts of the mother. More in this report.
At 14, he has taken on responsibilities only grown-ups should be allowed to shoulder. And there is no trace of his mother. She left for business close to 3 months ago and never returned, leaving him with a 4-year-old sister to look after. They lived here in the rented home for weeks before they were both evicted by the landlord for lack of paying rentals. Now, a TV2 news crew has learned that the younger sibling has since been taken under the care of a distant relative by his uncle. But there was no solution for Solomon, who spends cold nights here, living under the grace of kind neighbors.
Kukala uzokhala chabe bwino so oneka vintu chabe vinabula vavuta mukuvuta vintu amayi wake wanaenda kusangana umusiya so chabe kumarasha uko
funa kumtandizileko mwana uyu amayi wake wanachoka hapo naenda kumarasha stiza kwebalili vakala almost for 2 months and 3 months so tifuna kuti mtandizileko pongala alibe skulu saenda kuskulu chifukwa cha amayi wake sivalipo panyumba so tipempako government mtandizako pangani ya skulu nangani pongala apa so namuza timuchira chachokemo fika pasende chachoka mai kwa azangala kuti mwana.
Occasionally he makes it to school, but his attention lies heavily on 2 questions: his mother's whereabouts and his little sister's welfare. His class teacher said she noticed something was wrong when he paid less attention in class.
The thing is, he has been absent, absconding from school, so now I tried to find out further what is really happening. When I inquired from him, he couldn't open up. So I had to inquire from another classmate, a friend who happens to be the neighbor. So when I asked from this friend, that's how he said, no, Solomon has been left alone with the young sister to look after themselves. The mother has gone for a business that is in Luangwa, charcoal business. So for the past 3 months, the mother has not been home and he has no food. So that's how I tried to take up this issue and try to see exactly from where he stays what is really happening.
He makes a heartbreaking plea to the woman who has loved him since infancy.
Aminga likulikuwa mene muliri muniona bwerani na ma problems ya nyumba kuna wanancho sabo mnyumba.
Solomon feels alone and he hopes anyone who has information on his mother's whereabouts will come forward. Sikazwe, TV2 News, Lusaka.
7 African countries have signed an agreement which will see the countries forge regional cooperation in the cotton sector. The countries are Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya. The agreement will help the countries share ideas, skills and resources to deal with common problems in the sector. And speaking during the signing ceremony in Lusaka, Eastern and Southern Africa Cotton Organization Chairman Patrick Kembo has said cotton is an important crop in poverty alleviation. Here's a report.
A memorandum of association opening a new chapter of improving cotton sector in the member countries. 7 representatives from different African countries have met to consolidate the partnership, which will address challenges in the cotton sector. The countries part of this association include Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya. Ethiopia and Burundi are other 2 countries expected to join the association. Eastern and Southern Africa Cotton Organization Chairman Patrick Kembo is optimistic that the partnership will bring new hope to the cotton industry in member countries.
Recognizing the need to enhance multilateral cooperation which shall create and forge synergies for the substantial and effective poverty reduction, desirous to establish a transparent cotton sector in the Eastern and Southern Africa region through sharing of information, identifying and promoting of the best practices along the entire cotton value chain.
And one of the sponsors towards this agreement, Solidaridad, is happy to partner with the countries involved in the association.
This is basically a SAPSCAF project, meaning the Southern Africa Partnership for Sustainable Cotton and Food.
The signing of this memorandum of association will see the 7 member countries share ideas and skills to deal with common problems in the cotton industry. It will also consolidate farmers' associations to work in groups for quicker service delivery. Lucky Piri, TV2 News, Lusaka.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ has set Thursday, September 14, 2017 as the date for the council chairperson's by-elections in 4 districts in the country. The districts are Iteji in Central Province, Kanchibia and Luvushi-Manda in Muchinga Province and Lunte in Northern Province. This is according to a statement availed to TV2 News by ECZ Public Relations Officer Raphael Piri. Mr. Piri has explained that the election in Iteji is due to the death of the council chairperson elected last year, while the other 3 by-elections are because the affected areas are new districts. Nomination date for these elections is Tuesday, August 15th, 2017. The ECZ has further set the campaign period for Tuesday, August 15th, 2017 until Wednesday, September 13th, 2017. We go for our final break and thereafter we still have international and sports news. Keep watching. Now the rest of the news. In international news, President Muhammadu Buhari is recuperating fast and will return home very soon. Nigeria's acting head of state, Yemi Osibanjo, made the announcement at a press conference after visiting Mr. Buhari at the London hospital where he's being treated for an unspecified illness. Mr. Osibanjo, now back in Nigeria, said he had discussed a wide range of issues during the hour-long meeting. Mr. Buhari has been in London since May. The 74-year-old leader was elected to power in 2015, becoming the first Nigerian opposition leader to win an election. In sports news, 21 drivers have confirmed participation in the Pembe Milling Motor Rally set for next weekend, July 22nd and July 23rd, 2017. The event, which raves off at different stages in Lusaka and Fringilla in Chisamba, is the 4th round of the National Motor Rally Championship. Zambia Motorsports Association Rally Commissioner Munasin has confirmed the number of participants today in Lusaka during a press media briefing. And Deputy Clerk of the course, Alex Simoyu, says the qualifying stage will be held on Saturday, July 22nd.
Hours to 18 hours, of which we will run 1 car at a time. The stage starts behind Lusaka Motor Club from Zambia Police Rugby Ground. Our estimated qualifying stage is 1.5 kilometers. On Sunday, we move to Fringilla Farm in Chisamba for the main rally, which starts at 09 hours.
I expect all the big guns to really go out, flat out, to try and score as many points as possible. So I think there's going to be a very big fight amongst at least the Class A drivers and they have all already informed us that they are entering. There's also a big fight on the Class B championship. No championship has been sealed yet, so there's quite a fight on. And
to end the news, a recap on the top stories. 3 people, among them 4-year-old twins, have been burnt to death after a fire swept through a house they were sleeping in Chambishi on the Copperbelt. The fire, which is believed to have been ignited by a burning candle at about 04 hours this morning, has reduced to rubble the structure commonly called a cabin and made of wood. President Edgar Lungu has applauded Zambians for welcoming and supporting the approval of the declaration of a state of threatened public emergency in the country. President Lungu says he expects the levels of lawlessness to reduce during the 90-day period of the declaration. Finally, in the news, the Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, has raised 384 million kwacha under the tax amnesty initiative. ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Topsisi Kalinda has disclosed this to TV2 News in a statement. That ends the news at 18 hours on TV2. Do join me for another news broadcast at 20 hours. Bye-bye for now.